It's the last time we talked over a month.
That's
The same type of question. The law that's required that he takes risks. And the law, he would be
Appointed by the mayor before I can speak about the public.
You said that, right? Just one year. Okay. Go ahead.
Mayor, we have the privilege of having Mr. Donald Scorinci in our midst at this time. I know his firm is here. Do I have the honor of looking at one of Mr. Scorinci?
The one and only, yes.
Thank you. I must say I have read your blogs. They're very informative, very intelligently written. I'm not a colleague, I'm not a lawyer, but I know how to read. I have to applaud you on those blogs. They are well written. What I'd like to know, anyone that can answer this, Mayor, does the firm of Chasen, Lehner, and Lamparillo still have a contract with the town? They were assistant town council into the year 2012.
no, they do not.
They do not. Okay. Okay, great. Mr. Scorinci, did your firm represent the town in the matter brought on by Mr. Frank Ferrero against the ordinance that was passed last month regarding extending or moving the election from April to November, the school board election?
We handle that matter.
Thank you very much. Now, if something came to your attention that might be a conflict of interest, and even if it wasn't going to be on your side of the aisle that you could argue on successfully for your client, would you be bound to bring that to someone's attention if there was a conflict of interest?
You have to give me a,
All right, I'll give you a specific. I mentioned that law firm, Chasen, Lehner, and Lamparello, because sometime before 2005, the Honorable Judge Peter Barisso, who ruled against Frank Ferrero, was on that firm. So, could that possibly be a conflict of interest?
They don't have a contract with us.
Right, but they did have a contract.
I think that would be remote, and I think you'd have to have some specific evidence, especially if he's the assignment judge.
Okay, and I realize, I appreciate the latitude, I realize you're not in the court of law, I realize you don't speak for the judge, but may I ask you hypothetically then, might not the judge have mentioned this at the outset, that he used to be a client for a firm that has done, until recently, until a year and a half ago, did business with the town?
I don't think he would have had an affirmative obligation to say, if he felt it was a conflict, he would have.
No. Without disagreeing with you personally, I just disagree with your reasoning, but I respect your reasoning. I respect. I'm not a lawyer. All right, secondly, what I'd like to get at is, in 1996, your firm represented Roseland, Port Imperial, and the redeveloper agreement that covered all three development areas and includes that the town would be on the obligation liable for long and short-term tax abatements. And now you sit as counsel. Now, when you were arguing for the town of West New York against Frank Ferrero for an elected school board, I wonder if you're aware that with tax abatements, they pay zero in school taxes, zero. You have 4,000 units down there that pay zero, and you represented these people down there.
Since I represented Roseland Properties, I would be precluded from discussing Roseland Properties with you. That would be
Okay, well,
who would have to do that.
all right, well, then I respect, if I still have time there, I'd like to direct to the other counsel here, the other lawyer at the table.
Over there, Pat.
I'm sorry?
The other lawyers
You
over
got 1 minute and 20
Oh, you
seconds.
you don't represent Scorinci Hollenbeck?
No.
Oh, okay, what is your name?
Gil Garcia.
Oh, well, sir, since you were sanctioned in 2001 for conflict of interest issues, I don't think I'd like to ask you. I'd rather ask the other attorney over here. Oh, yeah, my question is, is it possible conflict of interest to have a lawyer of Scorinci and Hollenbeck sitting here that represented the town under the Alveo series term that didn't represent the town, he represented Roseland, Port Imperial, and their interests, and now he's representing the town here, and he represented Frank Ferrero in an issue of moving the election from April to November. Colonel, I really need 30 seconds.
I would based upon my humble opinion, I would say no, because the point in front of Judge Bariso had not any financial implication. It was a pure, simple election issue. So there was no financial benefit one way or the other in rendering that decision. So in that regard, I don't think there really was any conflict.
And with regard to the second question about the friends of Sprinsky Hollenbach here today, the fact that they represented
Patrick,
Roseland Port Imperial tax abatements,
Patrick,
could that be a conflict?
with a lot of respect, I'll give you another 30 seconds if you could
Could
finish.
that be a conflict since the school board, it gets zero in property taxes from the abated properties, and they're representing the developers, and they're representing the town in not seating more elected officials as
So,
trustees?
To answer that question, since there are no items on the agenda regarding Roseland or any former client, I'm sure Mr. Sprinsky's office has a very good conflict check of any matter that comes in, and they will continue to monitor any item that comes before us, and that's why we do have such people on the contract as special liability counsel, because conflicts do come up.
So when more abatements come down the pipe for Tally
Patrick?
Mac, which now is, they would have to recuse themselves, wouldn't they?
It would depend on the circumstances.
Well, thanks for your answer.
Thank you so much for your time.
Patrick, if I could just say one thing?
Yes, sir.
I'm not Dave Sims.
And I don't have a bridge to sell you either.